Hi, welcome to my channel English Audio Stories. Ready for today's English story? Let's go. At the Bakery. Chapter 1. Morning Walk. It was a bright Saturday morning. The sun was warm and the air felt fresh. Mia and her younger brother Tommy walked slowly down the street. They lived in a small town, and the center was only a short walk from their house. Mia carried a little bag, and Tommy held her hand as they walked together. The streets were not busy. A few people were already outside. An old man watered flowers in front of his house. A woman pushed a bicycle with a basket full of apples. The town felt quiet, but it was a good kind of quiet. Mia looked around and smiled. As they turned the corner, a sweet smell came to them. It was the smell of fresh bread. Tommy stopped and lifted his head. "Mia, do you smell that?" he asked. Mia nodded. "Yes, it comes from the bakery. Let's go there." They walked a little faster. The smell grew stronger with every step. It was warm and soft, like a promise of something good. Tommy's eyes were wide. He loved bread and cakes, and the smell made him think of breakfast at home. The bakery was on the next street. It had a big window, and through the glass they could already see rows of bread and small cakes. A sign above the door said, "Fresh every day." Mia pointed at the door. "Here it is. Let's go inside." Tommy smiled, and together they stood in front of the bakery door. Their walk was almost over, but their little adventure was just beginning. Chapter 2. Inside the bakery. Mia pushed the door, and she and Tommy stepped inside the bakery. At once, the warm smell of bread and cakes wrapped around them. It felt even stronger than outside. Tommy opened his eyes wide and looked everywhere. The bakery was bright and friendly. Sunlight came through the window and made the glass cases shine. Inside the cases were loaves of bread, round rolls, croissants, muffins, and small cakes with fruit on top. On a tall shelf behind the counter, there were bigger cakes, some with cream, some with chocolate. Everything looked fresh and ready to eat. A young woman stood behind the counter. She wore a white apron and had a kind smile. "Good morning," she said. Mia smiled back and answered, "Good morning." Tommy was a little shy, but he also whispered, "Good morning." The bakery was not empty. 2 other customers were there. A man was buying a big loaf of bread. A mother with a little girl was choosing sweet rolls. The place was full of quiet voices, but it still felt calm. Mia and Tommy moved closer to the glass case. Their eyes followed the rows of bread and cakes. Tommy pointed at the croissants. Mia looked at the muffins. There were so many choices, and each one looked better than the last. The smell made Tommy's stomach feel empty. He whispered to Mia, "I am hungry." Mia laughed softly. "Me too. Let's decide what to buy." They waited for their turn. The woman behind the counter finished with the man and the mother. Then she looked at Mia and Tommy with a smile. "Are you ready?" she asked kindly. Mia nodded. The moment had come to choose their breakfast. Chapter 3. Choosing bread. Mia and Tommy stood in front of the counter. The woman behind it waited with a smile. "What would you like today?" she asked. Mia looked at the many choices. Her eyes moved from the fresh bread to the small cakes and then to the golden croissants. Everything looked good, and she felt it was hard to choose. Tommy pressed his face a little closer to the glass. "I want a croissant," he said softly. "It looks so nice." He pointed at one with a big smile on his face. Mia laughed. "You always want a croissant, Tommy." But it does look good, Mia thought for a moment. She remembered that her mother liked fresh bread with butter and jam. I will take a loaf of bread, she said to herself. She also looked at the muffins with blueberries on top. They looked sweet and soft. The woman behind the counter waited patiently. Would you like some help? She asked. Mia nodded. Yes, please. 1 croissant for my brother, 1 loaf of bread for our family, and... She stopped and looked at the muffins again. They looked too good to leave. And 2 blueberry muffins, please. The woman picked up the bread with clean hands and put it in a paper bag. She took the croissant and the muffins and placed them carefully in another bag. Tommy watched closely, happy with his choice. When the bags were ready, the woman placed them on the counter. Here you are, she said. Mia smiled and felt proud. She had made the decision, and she was sure everyone at home would enjoy the food. Tommy held the bag with the croissant. He looked as if he could not wait until they were home. The smell was strong, and his mouth began to water. Mia touched his shoulder and said, Don't worry. We will eat soon. Their little shopping trip was almost complete. Only one step remained, to pay for their breakfast. Chapter 4. Small Talk. The woman behind the counter smiled at Mia and Tommy. That will be €3, she said kindly. Mia opened her little bag and took out some coins. She counted them slowly, one by one, to be sure it was correct. Tommy watched with big eyes. He liked to see the coins move from Mia's hand to the counter. When Mia finished, the woman nodded. Perfect, thank you, she said. She placed the coins into the register and gave Mia the paper bags. Here you are. Enjoy your breakfast. Mia smiled. Thank you very much. She wanted to be polite, just as her parents had taught her. Tommy also said, Thank you, in his quiet but clear voice. The woman's smile grew wider. You're very welcome. For a moment, Mia looked around the bakery again. A new customer had just come in, a tall man in a blue jacket. He greeted the woman at the counter, and the small bell on the door moved gently. The bakery was never empty for long. Mia turned back to Tommy. We have everything now. Are you happy? Tommy nodded quickly. Yes, I can't wait to eat the croissant. Mia laughed. You need to wait until we are home. But it will not take long. The woman behind the counter wished them a good day. Goodbye, children. Have a nice morning, Mia and Tommy both answered. Goodbye, and waved. With their bags in hand, they walked back to the door. Outside, the street was still quiet, but it felt different now. The children carried something special with them. Warm bread, sweet muffins, and a golden croissant. Their little adventure in the bakery was finished, but the best part was still waiting at home. Chapter 5. Breakfast at home. Mia and Tommy walked back through the town with their bags in hand. The morning sun was higher now, and the streets were a little busier. A few children rode their bikes, and a dog walked with its owner. But Mia and Tommy thought only about the food they carried. The smell of fresh bread and muffins followed them all the way home. When they reached their house, their mother was waiting in the kitchen. She smiled when she saw the bags. You went to the bakery. How wonderful, she said. Mia placed the bread on the table. Yes, we bought a loaf for you, and muffins too. Tommy lifted his bag proudly. And I have a croissant. Their mother laughed gently. That looks delicious. Let's make breakfast. She brought plates, cups, and butter. She poured warm tea for everyone and set out jam on the table. Soon the kitchen was full of soft voices and the sound of knives spreading butter. Mia broke a piece of bread and tasted it. It was soft inside and warm outside. She smiled at her mother. "It is very good." Tommy bit into his croissant and closed his eyes for a moment. "This is the best croissant ever," he said. Everyone laughed at his happy face. The muffins were shared too. They were sweet and full of blueberries. The family enjoyed them slowly, with tea and jam. The breakfast felt special because it came from their small adventure together. When they finished, Mia looked out the window. The day was just beginning, but it already felt good. She turned to Tommy and said, "I like mornings like this." Tommy nodded with his mouth still full of croissant. Their mother smiled at them both. It is always nice to start the day with fresh bread and a happy heart. And in that quiet kitchen, with sunlight on the table, the family enjoyed the simple joy of a morning together. Great job. You finished the story. Keep listening, keep learning, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.